The Mandalorian and the child take a detour on their way to Corvus to repair their ship Razor Crest at Navarro, where they reunite with Cara Dune and Greef Karga. While his ship is getting repaired, the Mandalorian agrees to help Dune and Karga destroy an Imperial base on Navarro. While destroying the base, they discover it was used for cloning experimentation and that the child's blood was used in some of the experiments. They escape the base, pursued by stormtroopers on speeder bikes and TIE fighters. Dune and, Dune and Karga manage to kill the stormtroopers, while Mando eliminates the TIE fighters with his just repaired ship. The Mandalorian and child then leave for Corvus, unaware that an Imperial spy has planted a tracker on the Razor Crest. That is the synopsis of Chapter 12, The Siege, for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Very, very great, well-written episode, well-directed by Carl Weathers, who plays Greef Karga. And it's the return of Gina Carano as well, a favorite of mine. And what is up with people clamoring on Twitter for her to be fired? They even have a hashtag going too. And all I'm thinking is that because of the fact that she's conservative and she's a pro-Trumper, right? Guarantee you if it was the other way around and she was liberal-leaning, it wouldn't even be brought up. You know what they do to people who are conservative. They like to target them. They like to cancel them. The whole cancel culture and all that stuff. Leave politics out of it. Please, people. It's a role. If her role was that of a Trump supporter, then maybe it would make sense. Oh, I don't want to see that. Get her off. Because nobody wants to see politics in anything. Leave that out when you have TV shows or you have movies, music, whatever. You could put your beliefs out there, sure, but don't force it on us. Because we don't watch movies and TV shows for that. We don't listen to your music or whatever for that stuff. Because people tend to be a little bit, insulting. They want to insult you for your beliefs and all that stuff and tell you you can't have that type of belief. But to me, it's just like, what does that have to do with her role as Cara Dune? She does amazingly well. I couldn't think of anybody in that role but Gina Carano. But of course, they're going to punish her because she's a Trump supporter. Keep that out of this, all right? Keep it out of this and just accept her for her role and what she does. She's a great actress too, so it's like she knows how to act too at the same time. This coming from a girl who comes from Strike Force, her MMA background, but she's a great actor. You know what I mean? But this episode really was just a lot of fun. And I liked the story. I liked the fact that the whole gang is back together again with Mando and the child and Cara Dune and Greef Karga. And they even have Mithral, who that alien who Mando carbonite froze. He was the guy that he was after and had a bounty on him, whatever you want to say, right? And even Greef Karga in this was like kind of hanging a 350-year sentence over him, thinking that, you know what I mean? And every time he was helping them. He was like kind of like a getaway car driver for these guys when he went to the Imperial. What was that thing? It was an Imperial base in Navarro, right? And he's trying to get out of there. He said, "Oh, I'll leave you guys here," and he goes, "Hey, you know what? If you stay here, I'll take 100 years off your sentence." And then when he tries to weasel out again, "Okay, I'll take 30 more years off." So Greef Karga talking to Mithral. And pretty funny scene and great interaction. And he's a guy who is a comic relief guy in this episode. And he was voiced by Horatio. Well, not voiced because you can't see him. That's why you see him in makeup. But Horatio Sands, someone who I'm familiar with, and he's very good, and he's not annoying. Like there's a scene where these guys were, having a shootout with stormtroopers, and then he's like this shooting above a table and hits the last guy, and all he does is he goes, and then he just goes off. He doesn't go, oh, I shot him. Oh, let me be funny guy. Let me be the guy who is the comic relief. Like, because there's some guys who are on these movies and things that they just ruin it because they play off being the comic relief, so they have to be funny every time, and they have to posture and grimace at the camera and smirk. And I go, we know you're the comic relief. You don't have to tell us. Just be the comic relief. But he did it very well, and I like the character. I think the guy he was funny from when I first saw him in season 1, and he's even funny here. And the guy can carry himself. He carries himself pretty well with a gun, with a blaster, and everything like that. So he was useful, even though there was that one tool that he had to open up the blast door or whatever you call that door that they had to get in. And he's all telling Cara Dune that, hey, you're lucky I brought it along. Like she's saying, you're going too slow. And then he's talking about how it's only used for certain things. You can't expect it to be, quick, fast acting. And the one thing that I really enjoyed about this episode was the very first frame or the very first opening scene where Mando, with that damn Razor Crest, who the guys that worked on it before, Pelimoto, and her guys fixed it, and then when they got it, it looked like it was put together with string and scotch tape, and they're still having problems with it. I'm surprised the back door wasn't like hanging open again. Well, you didn't really see it from the back, so. But then Greef Karga looks at it and goes, "Okay, I'm gonna get my men to give it the repairs it deserves, get in good shape, like that." And it actually was at the end. But the scene that I liked is the fact that he's in there, they're doing repairs, and of course, I guess it's such a small space, so you got the child in there, and he's telling the child, "You see the red wire? Eh?" I love when that little guy does that. He's so funny, like he doesn't know. He's so, eh? And like he looks at, then he's like, the red wire. See, the red wire. Show me the red wire. And then he finally does. He goes, like, put that one where the blue wire is. It's like this. He gets the blue wire. And he's like, no, the red wire. No. And then he gets a jolt, and, are you okay? And then he's just like, and it reminds me of like when people, do, jumpstart a car. You can't go cross the wires, don't put the, the positive on the negative, don't put the negative on stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty cool now though that they have those machines that you use, and they're like dummy proof. Where if you put the wrong thing on the wrong thing, nothing will happen. So it's like that. Because I remember doing that, and I pretty much almost got knocked out when I did that one time. That's why sometimes if I have to jump a thing, I'm very skittish about it, or very like cautious because I don't want to get shocked again. But at least they have those things, But it's hilarious. I mean, that episode was so fun. I mean, but the scene was so funny, and it reminded me of like when people, cable when you're on to jump a car and you don't do it the wrong way, you get shocked. And I guess Mando couldn't get in there. It was a small space, so I guess that's the reason why he had the child in there. And speaking of the child, I've always said, like, why is it that he doesn't use his powers? He has his powers, but maybe it's because he's a child, he's young. So he doesn't have quite the grasp on it, or sometimes he can't use it. I don't know, but it's like there are situations where he's in that and he can't use his force or something in order to, like the one thing with the last episode with the spiders, right? Spiders on top of his head when the babies, and he's like panicking, and then the frog lady shoots it, But here, I guess it's only if it's what he wants when he wants to use it, because he got sat down in the class. So these kids are studying, and it's a protocol droid that looks like C-3PO. That was a cool thing to see, that he saw a protocol droid that looked like C-3PO, and it was teaching a class, and a bunch of little kids there. It looks like younglings, Oops, am I supposed to say younglings? Can I say that word now, or am I going to offend people? Remember that whole thing? Anyway, and he's teaching them, and then I love how Greef Karga says, okay, because Mando doesn't want to be out of sight of the child. He wants to always see the child. He always wants to be around the child so he can protect the child. Greef Karga says, you know what, where we're going, you don't need a child there. The child doesn't need to see what we're going to be seeing, pretty much. So he puts him down. He looks so cute, putting him down in the school desk, Looks like the ones that I used to go with when I was in school, There's a desk and a chair, and it's so, you had to be a child in order to sit in those. I remember when I was an adult and trying to sit in one of those things, and I couldn't even fit. But sets him down. It's so cute, and then he's looking around, and all the little kids are like, as little kids do, they see a little cute little thing like that, or something they've never seen before, and they're like talking to each other, giggling. And one kid was a little punk. He's like this kid didn't even give in to the cuteness of the child. And he had these blue looked like blue like cookies or something like that, whatever they were, right? And child's like like pointing at it, and I guess he was trying to use his childlike cuteness to get. He thought maybe he can get one because he's so cute. I don't know if he really was doing that, but he's like, he was like pointing at it. He's like, no, Then he looks away as he's eating, and then you see that little hand of the child go up, and he used the force to kind of spin the thing around and got one of the cookies, and the kid looks back up, looks at him, and he's chewing on one of them. And then at the end, you see them leaving Mandalorian and Mando and the child is actually in possession of those cookies. I guess he got all of them. Maybe the kid gave in and said, "Here, you can have all of them." But the mission that they went on, I really, really it was a pretty good sequence. I liked them battling out with the stormtroopers, and then you got stormtroopers on light speeders, and then or speeder bikes, I should say. They call them light speeders, like a speeder bikes, and it's like a video game where they got through them. With Karga's at the helm, or at the they had the blaster, that main big bastard thing on his hands. I mean, he was blasting away, and he got them, took them all out. The last one was standing on top of the thing, and he pretty much, I don't know if he was a dummy or what he was doing, but he was standing right in front of the sight. Because he was pointed, I guess, because he was pointed the other way, Greek Karga was, and then when he turned around, he was right there. He turns around, too late, and then he just gets blasted away. They get away from that, and then the next level, TIE fighters. And they're holding their own, but then one of the TIE fighters, the first one that Greef Karga destroyed, lands right on top of the blaster gun, I guess what you would call it. And so they're out of that. And it looked like they were targeted, and it looks like they're gonna get blasted and destroyed, and then all of a sudden one gets destroyed. You look up, it's Mando, and he's taking his time to take out the rest of them, and he does. And then Mando is given his Razor Crest, all in great shape, looks great. It's all pristine condition looking, and he's ready to go. And then we see the scene go to where Myth Guardian is, or Moff Gideon. Myth Guardian. I go with Myth Guardian. Moff Gideon. Like when I say Gina Carano, and sometimes I'll say Carla Gugino. So it's like, but yeah. And then one of his what do you call those guys that are in charge of the base? Kind of looks like, you know what I mean? It's a young lady. Looks like definitely reports to Moff Gideon, says that Moff Gideon, and says that a tracking beam was installed on the Razor Crest. And I was thinking at first that is Greef Karga working with Moff Gideon, but pretty much it's just somebody who's in his group of guys who's working on the thing, and the guy probably was flipped. He probably was given some type of, promise of gold or whatever their maybe best car. I don't know. Speaking of best car, I can see why these guys are all after that best car that makes up his armor and all that stuff. Because man, when he gets blasted or shot, that's just like water off a duck's back. Just boom, boom, boom. Just like he's just like this, and then you just shoot him, blast him. But it looks like somebody is, working for the dark side, if you will, and planted that beacon, tracking beacon. So that's unawares. Mando is unaware of that, and yes, Moff Gideon asks, is the asset or the child still with him, and that's confirmed by, by that person. And then Moff Gideon says, that we'll be ready. And then all of a sudden, you see an individual that's working on. This is going down the line, and as it pans out, you see all these in line. You see all of these clones, or maybe that's what, I don't know if that's what they are, but they were using the blood of the child. You know, they came upon these clones before when they first arrived at the base in Navarro. And I'm thinking, were they put in these things, or is these are just, maybe these are like, it could be armor, it could be stuff that they're gonna, they're gonna outfit their soldiers with, or something like that, or But that was a very, very interesting way to eye raising way as well, to to kind of put you in the mood for the next episode and wonder what's going to happen. But this could be something that'll be unleashed on this guy's in the last episode. But Moff Gideon is getting his people, his empire, his soldiers, whatever you want to call them, getting them up and ready. Got a beacon on that thing, so they definitely are going to try to put out some more troops or whomever to go after the child, because his blood, pretty much like the Beskar steel is to all these bounty hunters and all that, how it's valued with them, but it's like that blood of that child is valued by the Empire, by Moff Gideon, and the dark side, if you will. They want to try to use him. He's a little guy, but I tell you, before I close this video, he is absolutely what the show makes this show. Why I want to watch the show. I mean, I love the the Mandalorian. I love Gina Carano and her character Cara Dune. I like Karga. And I just love those. I love the child is just the way it coos, the way it reacts and responds, and all the stuff that little mannerisms it has. It's just so fun to watch. He's such a great little character, and that's why I think a lot of people love this show. It's not hasn't gotten to the point where it's just too corny or hacky or hokey or whatever with the guy, because they know how to do it in doses where it's not going to be too too much or too over the top. Having a little character or a child character or whatever, it actually wears on you for after a while. But so far so good. And I don't know if through the course of this series, but if they keep going and going, that it's going to grow and grow, and it's going to end up being an adult, and then still with Mandalorian, and probably, you know what I mean. And but who knows? You might see him with his people. You might see more of him. So who knows? Like, but the progression of the child's characters. But I'm sure there's people out there that know. There's probably leaks and like spoilers and all that out there, a story of him, and what's going on. How those guys are. But anyway, I enjoyed this episode, directed by Carl Weathers, like I said. Chapter 12, The Siege, is part of season 2. And keep going, Disney, and keep going, Jon Favreau. So great that this guy, who's a big fan of Star Wars and actually brought Star Wars some semblance of the Star Wars that we all grew up and loved. Those people of us who were there, who actually was alive at the time when it debuted in theaters, the first Star Wars in '77. I know I was there. I think it's one of the first movies. I think it's the first movie that I've seen. I remember watching and seeing R2D2 C3PO and like with my mouth open, like, whoa, what the hell was that? Whoa, those are cool characters. That's why R2D2 is my favorite Star Wars character. I absolutely love that guy. Maybe that's why I love the child so much, because it reminds me of like how R2D2 is. Very innocent, very silly and goofy, and there's all these little mannerisms that you just love. And that's why I like the fact that the teacher was a protocol droid like R2D, like C3PO. So I did that before, didn't I? I was about to say C3PO, I said R2D2. But it was great to see that. But I love it, and I love the nods that they always have towards Star Wars. I like seeing those things here and there. And every time you see it, like, oh, hey, I know that. Hey, I remember that, Star Wars, And it just lets you know that, hey, this thing does take place in the Star Wars universe. It's there. You'll see, you've already seen references of Tatooine and all these other references you've seen. Like I said, it's like C-3PO, and we see stormtroopers. We see Moff Gideon. That kind of gives you a vibe of Darth Vader, And I really, really enjoy Mandalorian, and this series can go on forever, But it won't do that, But who knows how long it'll last? But well, that's that, and that's my video. And for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. And in closing, and as always, take care.